we should all be really scared at the moment. The world's strongest man, Brian Shaw, is partnering up with Gordon Ryan, multiple-time jiu-jitsu world champion, because as some of you have seen, Brian Shaw wants to go into MMA. I've covered it here on my channel. You can go and watch that video. We break down some of Brian Shaw's boxing technique. Today, he's grappling, and we know the size doesn't matter as much when you're striking as it does when you're grappling. This is going to be very interesting. Brian Shaw in MMA, I'm all for it. I said in the last video, I don't know who's going to actually sign him. Maybe the PFL, because it is going to be a little bit of a circus fight. Maybe he needs to go on the next Misfits event. And who are they really going to pair him with? Who weighs that much or even close to that much? Who's going to have skill? We all know that the heavyweight division is like the slimmest, thinnest division out there in every sport, pretty much. Boxing, MMA, they just don't have as much talent as the lighter divisions do. So whoever Brian Shaw is going to fight probably isn't going to be that good. So Brian Shaw probably has a really good shot at winning his first MMA fight. And especially with Gordon Ryan on the side, oh my days. So he's just dropped this video, Gordon Ryan versus the strongest man on earth. I've had a little skim through it. They do quite a bit of rolling around, going through technique work. The video is like 32 minutes long, so we're not going to go through all that. And then they have a little bit more of like a freestyle type roll at the end where they actually put in a bit of effort. So let's react.
What's up, guys? Hope you all are doing well. I am here with none other than the greatest of all time, Gordon Ryan. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's I feel very small on the mat today. I try to convince people that I'm not a big heavyweight and nobody believes me, but I think we're going to shed some light on that today.
So hi.
Hey, Gordon Ryan's fairly big as well, so look how much he's dwarfed by Brian Shaw.
Wait.
6'2", like 225 right now.
Gordon Ryan is 225, shredded. I know he doesn't look shredded there. He's lost a lot of muscle recently, but he is quite lean.
What is that, like 190 pounds?
So pretty close.
I mean, give or take, you know.
190-pound weight difference, amazing.
Weight advantage.
Daniel Montesuya.
Daniel and
Ty Horn.
Ty Horn.
Fun fact, this will probably change today, but Dan is actually the strongest person on the mat that I've ever touched. It's actually like ridiculous because he's like 4 times as strong as anybody else that I have to compete against. So we'll see how Brian stacks up today.
Love it, love it, love it.
That's a pretty big statement by Gordon Ryan, the guy who was juiced to the gills himself. This lad Dan Monasea, was it, is the strongest person who Gordon Ryan's ever rolled with on the mat. And we can also see this guy is not a small dude either. Okay, he's out angling Gordon Ryan a little bit here, but I'd say this dude is probably about like maybe 6'5" or 6'4", something like that, because you'll see in a minute standing next to Brian Shaw, he's like pretty much the same height as him. Brian Shaw's meant to be 6'8", but it's hard to tell with heights these days, as we were talking about in the Tyson Fury videos. It's like the taller people get, the more they lie about the height. It is what it is. So what we'll do, there's a good 20 minutes here of just going through technique work. Nothing really entertaining. If you want to watch the full video yourself, I'll leave a link in the description. It's on Brian Shaw's channel.
Very light, just so you get used to it with resistance.
Yeah.
We're going to do a passing round where you're in half guard on Dan.
Okay.
And you're going to pass. If you get the side control or mount, then that's a win for you. Then we'll stop there, and then we'll do a situation where you're top mount and you have to try to isolate arms and you have to try to escape. As we go and you start feeling more confident playing around, and Dan will go a little bit harder, give you a little bit more resistance, and pull it back and give you a little bit more resistance, and just get used to real world kind of resistance as we play from there.
Okay, so the next few minutes they're focusing on Brian Shaw trying to get from half guard into side control or full mount with a little bit of resistance, and then they're going to go into isolating arms and legs after that. Now obviously they're not going 100% here. That's how you get injured, especially with someone as big as Brian, but these aren't small lads either.
You just play around, you make him carry body weight, fatigue him, get your balance. Nice job, good, reset.
So right then, Dan on the bottom went from half guard into full guard. Brian Shaw has to try and prevent that from happening, and he's got to try and get from half guard into side control or full mount. So you can't really see from this angle. The cameraman needs to come around this way a little bit more. Brian Shaw is trying to move to side control. You can see Dan on the bottom. He's trying to slide that right knee through this side of Brian's left hip. And then if he moves around, the cameraman moves around to the left, you can see the fighting for the leg position here. So Brian needs to, put that foot on there, and then he can get into full mount. There we go. Very good. Nice, nice. to do that to Brian Shaw is no easy task.
Just open the hand.
Sweep them.
Okay. At least you keep top position then.
Yeah, so all Gordon Ryan's saying there is rather than trying to keep hold, it's better to just post yourself and put your hands on the floor. It's often what people do who don't know how to grapple is they never want to let go of the head. It's like the school bully headlock, especially for bigger lads. It's an automatic reaction to just keep hold of the head because they think it gives them control. But when you're losing your foundation and you're about to get swept, that's important to let go of the position that you've got. So this is a really good progression. Gordon Ryan's taking them through like small little incremental progressions. He's not overwhelming them with the full movement. He just step by step by step. So if Brian Shaw gets swept now, he'll know that he needs to let go of the head position. See there. So that was it. He was about to get swept and he put his right hand down on the floor and it helped him out. There you go. So he's posting with his legs now.
Never happening.
So I think that Dan lad was trying to go for an arm lock there. I'm not too familiar with what it's actually called, but it's almost like an arm bar. He's posting off Brian Shaw's head and then pulling down on his shoulder to try and hyperextend the elbow, but Brian's arm's too big.
Now you're going to start mounted.
Oh no. So Brian Shaw's going to get in full mount. About to squash him.
And your goal is to just isolate hands. And
We just worked on with the hand.
Yep. So he's just going to try to go into light recoveries. You're going to try to start isolating arms and getting underhooks in place.
Hey, good job, Brian Shaw's not gay. Imagine if he was and he wanted to go on top. He'd literally kill his fella. Okay, so they're trying to isolate arms and limbs now. Trying to isolate the arm, isolate the legs. Okay, so you can see the way Dan, he's holding his hands close to his body. He can't let Brian get his hands away from his centre point. And this lad's a strong lad on the bottom as well. Okay, now he'll sweep him. Yeah, sweep. Should be able to get that butterfly sweep. Oh, hey, nice. So the reason why that worked good for Dan there is because he had the right underhook. So let's just watch again. So see, he's got the underhook here on this side. Once again, Brian, if he would have just posted and put his arms down, this probably wouldn't have happened, but he was able to push under Brian's left lat with his right arm. The good thing as well, if you're grappling someone this big, if you're able to sweep them and get their center of gravity away from you, and then able to just generate a little bit of momentum off to the side laterally, like because they're so heavy, you only need a little bit of movement and then they're kind of gone. Whereas someone who's light and agile can change directions a lot easier. Brian Shaw, 400 pounds, is going to struggle with fast changes of directions.
That was scary.
That was scary, he said.
You want more?
Okay. Bit more effort now.
I'm going to move around and give you some resistance.
Okay, go. Yeah.
So Brian Shaw's almost out of side control there. He's got him in butterfly hooks.
Good.
Now he's in full guard.
Oh yeah, you're gonna go.
It would fatigue you just having someone that big on top of you, lying on top of you. It would literally crush your lungs. Remember when we seen Dustin Poirier? And these are big lads too.
Very good. You see how the second he gets back to inside position, it's hard for you to control him.
I don't know what they're actually going for here. I'm not sure if he just said, let's just roll. A little bit of ground and pound. Scary thought, though, because that's all Brian would have to do. If he can get his opponent down and then just ground and pound, even if he was to put your guards up, those punches, so much force would actually come through your arm still. It's like when you see people and they take head kicks, but they still block them. It's just the force of the head kick can still rock you. That was awesome. Brian Shaw's just so friendly. Okay, so they're going to do some cage work or up against the wall.
I had ribs. I'm not going to have ribs no more.
How much do you weigh?
270.
Okay.
See, look at this. It doesn't seem like there's any of a height difference between these two. Look at them when they stand right up against each other.
How much do you weigh?
270.
There. It could just be the angle, but that lad's quite big. I thought maybe 6'5", but maybe he's a little bit bigger. Because Brian Shaw's meant to be 6'8".
Okay. Can I try something? No. I won't drop you, but I'm gonna try to just pick you up from there. Is that okay?
You can, yeah. You can lift him.
Okay.
Just once his feet leave the ground, you're responsible for how he returns to the ground.
Okay.
You're responsible, bro.
No, I won't.
You're responsible, okay? Oh man.
These are good training ethics that Gordon Ryan is teaching Brian Shaw here. Obviously, Brian Shaw, he's larger than life. Gordon Ryan could just not say these things, but he said, once you pick him up and his feet leave the ground, you are responsible for how they return to the ground. That is like really good coaching right there. Some people got at me on the Dustin Poirier video and thought that I was criticising Dustin Poirier because he wasn't really giving Brian any coaching. Dustin Poirier wasn't simplifying it and truly explaining what he wanted Brian to do, whereas you can see Gordon Ryan, he's a lot more analytical, he's a lot more detailed and nuanced in his explanations. And then also that little nugget that he just gave Brian, make sure you place him down gently. You are responsible for how he returns to the ground. Good. I love it. I love to see good training and gym etiquette. And training partner etiquette. What's he going to do here? Oh, no.
Oh my God. Okay. Please don't slam me. I've never been lifted like that before.
This other absolutely massive geezer was like, please don't slam me. Please don't slam me. He's turned to a baby then.
Hey, please don't slam me.
Please don't slam me.
Lifted like that before. Oh man, well let me try that. Let me see if I can do that.
Oh, he's going to try.
Like this?
So if you dig this arm in deeper there.
400 pounds.
Nice.
So if you want to do lift, I pull you off here.
And then
I want to
rotate
take my
into them.
shoulder and I want to put shoulder pressure down into this hip.
Okay.
So it gets
Sorry.
leg inside.
This Dan lad is proper nervous. Look at his face. He's terrified. He's like, please don't hurt me, Brian.
As you pull him off, circle towards me. Good.
His head stayed a little bit high then. He didn't actually dump his shoulder into him. He just kind of threw him. But he can get away with that because he's just so strong.
So
We got Wes Watson. I've just noticed. Wes Watson.
reach elbow deep with our left hand right to his far leg. And we lock. Hips in and lifting up like so.
Okay.
Once I get him lifted, I want to put him up against the cage because once he's pinned against the cage, then it's easy for me to control him because he can't move out in that direction.
Okay.
So I put him against the cage and now we just go straight down to the floor. And that's where all of my punches start coming in from here.
Got it.
Beautiful.
There we go. I mean, that lift is easy for him.
Around that far knee.
Yeah.
So right as soon as I feel him hopping,
Yeah, whereas Brian Shaw was more so keeping his head back here and just grabbing at the knee and rotating him round, whereas Gordon Ryan is actually putting his head right over here on this hip, which allows him to get deeper in on this knee.
immediately don't go here and then I pull myself in. Right away, I go to my lock.
Yeah, you see how much deeper he is in, and then he can lock his hands at the back.
And now we're
Can't really see from that angle. Look at Brian Shaw's fist.
in general.
Right, look at that. Let's try and pause it perfectly. Right, let's slow it right down. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? He's going to struggle to find gloves that actually fit him. Gonna have to have special gloves made. Wasn't Brock Lesnar and Shane Carwin's hands like that absolutely massive? They couldn't fit in the like double XL 4-ounce gloves.
Because your rounds are so short, lifting for the crowd and for the judges is a good idea. The longer the fights are, the less lifting you want to do.
Makes sense.
It's a lot more
Because you're burning more.
Yeah, it's a lot more fatiguing.
Yeah, that was a good point by Gordon Ryan. Also, he's probably going to have to train with heavier people because, okay, he's 190 pounds heavier than these lads. He's not going to be able to diet down to like under 300 pounds, but it's most likely that he's going to be somewhere around maybe 320 pounds, something like that. So he's going to need to get people in who are a similar weight to him to train with.
And it's always interesting to see like someone who's moving from being the absolute best at something to then trying something else new and knowing what being exceptional is like in one area,
Sure.
and knowing how bad they are in the other area.
Yes.
But then like I started striking and I knew what it was like to be really good at jiu-jitsu, and I'm like striking, I'm like, oh, I'm so terrible at this. Like it was so bad because I knew what it was
So
like to
true.
be good at one thing, and then I moved to this other thing that I was so bad at.
You can get really frustrated, especially when you're trying to learn a new skill, or just when you've been out of the game for so long and you go back to learning the same skill that you've been really proficient at, and you're no longer proficient at it, and you haven't got your coordination, you feel rusty. And as I say, it's a catch-22 because then you get frustrated, but then the frustration prevents you from learning more, and you get angry with yourself, when really you've got to try and let go of the frustration and relax and not put too much pressure on yourself. I know when I get back back to kickboxing, I'm going to struggle. I'm going to have no coordination. I'm going to have zero conditioning. I'm going to be overly flinchy just from like little jabs. It's a horrible feeling, but you know that you've got to get through that phase because on the other side of that discomfort is greatness. But this is really good to watch. Brian Shaw in MMA, I'm all for it. I'm intrigued into seeing his physique transformation. Like, what weight is he going to get down to? He's over 400 pounds currently. Who's he going to fight? What organization is he going to fight in? He's a little bit older as well. He's not a young spring chicken, and it's harder to learn things when you're older. Age doesn't matter as much as it does in the lighter weight categories, but it's pretty awesome. Brian, the big soft teddy bear, it'll be interesting seeing him turn into a killer. It would be good if there was another strongman doing MMA and they could both fight together, like maybe Hathor or Bjornsson. I am looking forward to seeing Brian Shaw throw some kicks. Leave your thoughts down below and make sure you subscribe if you're new to the channel. And I made a mistake. I thought it was UFC 295 this weekend. It's not. It's next week, which I'm made up about because I'm going out this Saturday and I was thinking I'm not going to be able to live stream it. So I'm just planting the seed now. Next Saturday, November 11th, we're going to do a live stream for the UFC 295. Okay, like this video, boys, and me 4% female audience. And I'll see you all tomorrow